I've been trying to call. I've been on my own for long enough. Maybe you can show me how to love. Maybe I'm going through withdrawals. You don't even have to do too much. You can turn me on with just a touch, baby. I look around and since city's cold and empty, no one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep right until I feel your heart touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm running out of time, 'cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Hit the road in overdrive. The city's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your heart touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm coming back to let you know I can never say it on the phone. But whenever let me go this time, I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. Feel free to be whoever you want to be. Feel free to dance, feel free to sing, just feel free. Feels like the world is picking on ya. Feels like it's picking on me. But trying to please everybody.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Two Tone Talk Podcast, episode 36. Can you believe we've already done 36 of these? Unbelievable. Thank you so much for joining me today here on the Two Tone Talk Podcast, whether you're watching and listening on YouTube or Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever else you get your podcast. It is good to see and talk to everybody here today as we are running toward week 2. Normally I do episodes on Monday and Friday, but due to the fact that me and the wife are going to be traveling tomorrow, which is Friday, I am doing this episode on Thursday, a rare Thursday episode of the Two Tone Talk Podcast, and we've got a lot to get to today, including a new segment that I will be introducing here in a little bit that we'll be doing every Friday on the channel, and I'm thankful for everybody joining in. So, the Titans, after losing to the Saints in week 1, behind a terrible performance from Ryan Tannehill in particular. They are now barreling toward week 2 against the LA Chargers, who also lost in week 1, but in a very different kind of game. The Chargers-Dolphins game from week 1 was the total opposite of the Titans-Saints game. You can look at the final score and tell that as much. The Chargers-Dolphins game was a shootout, and the Titans-Saints game included one touchdown. Only one touchdown, which was scored by the Saints, and that was the difference in the game. So, as we look toward week 2, as we look toward a potential Ryan Tannehill, hopefully, redemption game, as we look back at week 1 one last time, we, of course, I think over the last few days, see some things that didn't go so bad for the Titans. There were some things, I think in hindsight, looking back at week 1, I think the offensive line overall probably looked a little better than we gave them credit for in real time. Obviously, Andre Dillard had some suspect play there in the first half especially, but they seemed to get it together. I think that looking at the film, I think the Titans wide receivers did not perform nearly as badly as you may have thought in real time. I think that there were guys wide open all over the place, and our quarterback just failed to get them the ball. So, I think the play calling was fine. I think that some of the personnel decisions were a little bit iffy, but we look toward week 2 and hopefully things will be better. But the leading story today, of all things, the NFL season has begun, and the leading story on the podcast today is a press conference. Yes, a press conference from quarterback Ryan Tannehill. As I said, did not play well at all against the Saints. In fact, I stand completely on record today as saying I think it was Ryan Tannehill's worst NFL game of his career. Yes, even worse than that playoff game against the Bengals. I thought this performance was worse. And so yesterday, Ryan Tannehill took the podium for the first time since Sunday to address his game, which was notably bad. And he had some things to say. I think he made it clear that he had watched the film back multiple times, that it was something he wants to move on from. It is something that I grasp personally that he was well aware of how poorly he played on Sunday. I think he was well aware of that. I think that, after a few questions in a row about the game, he began to say, hey guys, I'm sick of talking about it. I'm sick of answering questions about it. I'm ready to move on to the Chargers game. I'm ready to, looking forward to Sunday. He actually said Sunday can't get here fast enough. He is ready to move on and put on a better performance, and so am I. I am ready for him to move on and put on a better performance as well. Some people didn't like this press conference. Some Titans fans thought that Ryan Tannehill didn't answer these questions well enough. He didn't give enough of an explanation as to what exactly went wrong on Sunday. He didn't, there were times when Tannehill kind of laughed. There were times when Tannehill was kind of, laughing in the way of, guys, I'm sick of answering these questions. Let's move on. And some people, that rubbed them the wrong way. After many people feel like his performance cost the Titans a game the other day, people were rubbed the wrong way that Tannehill was laughing and smiling and not wanting to answer questions about it. For me personally, I'm just going to tell you, I think it's been blown a little bit out of proportion. I think this press conference from yesterday, I think it is a case of Titans fans who are still mad about the way that he played on Sunday. And I think you're looking at fans who weren't going to be satisfied with anything that Ryan Tannehill had to say. My personal opinion. Maybe not everybody, but I think there were Titans fans who were not going to be satisfied no matter what Ryan Tannehill said. I thought his press conference was pretty by the books. I think Ryan Tannehill knows what kinds of press conferences that Mike Vrabel wants his players to give. He's not going to show his cards too much. There were some things that, there were people who were saying Ryan Tannehill refused to take accountability for how bad he played. I completely disagree with that. I think he did multiple times. There were some people who took issue with the fact that he used the term "we" over and over again. We've got to play better. We've got to do this. We've got to do that. Once again, I think it's a case of Ryan Tannehill going to the Mike Vrabel school of press conferences, which is always team, 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 team. The team's got to be better. We've all got to be better. Yes, I was awful, but the team's got to be better too. Like, I get being frustrated at that. I think it's just, it sounded to me like he was just trying to get the heck out of there. The overall theme I get is that Ryan Tannehill wants to move on from Sunday. He believes he's going to come out and redeem himself, and I hope he's right. I think yesterday's press conference from Ryan Tannehill has been way overblown from Titans fans who are just still mad about Sunday and are mad at him for how badly he played, and that's all I think it is. I just don't think this press conference was there were people comparing it to Josh Allen, because Josh Allen obviously played a bad game Monday night. He had 3 interceptions and a fumble, which, I think Josh Allen's play cost the Bills a game the other night. Yes, but I think that, Josh Allen's post-game press conference, I mean, he looked like he had just lost his best friend. He was like, I don't know. I can't believe this keeps happening. I was terrible. I cost the team a game. And some people were trying to insinuate that Ryan Tannehill should have had the exact same attitude as Josh Allen. I think it's worth noting that Josh Allen's press conference was from right after the game ended, and Ryan Tannehill's from yesterday was 3 days later. I think there's a difference there. And also, maybe you're not satisfied with Ryan Tannehill's presser yesterday, but I don't exactly want my quarterback taking the Josh Allen press conference approach either, because Josh Allen almost seemed a little too down in the dumps. I mean, he seemed like he had given up a little bit in that press conference. So while you may not be satisfied with Ryan Tannehill's demeanor and what he had to say in his press conference yesterday, I don't know if down in the dumps Josh Allen is exactly what you want from your quarterback either. We'll see how he bounces back. Every bit of this boils down to what we see from Ryan Tannehill over the next couple weeks. Some people have already completely given up on him, but guys, he's the starting quarterback of this team. He's going to be the starting quarterback on Sunday, and I hope he can bounce back. I really do, because I think the Titans have a good team. I don't know if I'm willing to say they have a great team, but I think they have a good team, and there were some good things going on with this team on Sunday against the Saints. It's going to all boil down to Ryan Tannehill. And we kind of suspected that anyway. It's going to boil down to him getting back on track. If he keeps playing like he did Sunday, they're not going to beat anybody. They're not going to beat one team on the schedule if he continues to play like he did Sunday. It all boils down to whether or not he can bounce back. And all of this talk about Malik Willis and Will Levis and are we going to see them, it all boils down to if what he did Sunday becomes a trend, we've got a major problem and it's time to go elsewhere. But I'm not willing to cast him aside just yet based on one bad performance, terrible performance. I need to see more. Looking at the Titans injury report, obviously from yesterday, DeAndre Hopkins is the main concern with an ankle injury. We kind of saw him on the sideline toward the end of the Saints game being tended to a little bit, being stretched out. I'm not going to freak out about DeAndre Hopkins' ankle injury just yet. It's a Wednesday practice. We'll see today and tomorrow where things stand with him. Christian Fulton is a major concern with the hamstring injury. Going against Justin Herbert and all the weapons that they have, terrifying to think about our number one cornerback not being in the game. And Amani Hooker, I'm going to be honest with you, I hate it because he made some great plays the other day. I do not expect him to play. He's in concussion protocol, and Vrabel, rightfully so, is always going to play it safe with the concussion thing. So I don't expect Amani Hooker to play, and that sucks because you're going against Justin Herbert and all of these weapons. We'll talk about Titans, Chargers here in a little bit. But for right now, I want to introduce a new segment to the channel. This is the kind of nerdy NFL stuff I like to do. I'm going to blitz through. I'm calling this segment 32 to 1, where we are going to rank from number 32 to 1 very quickly the teams how I see them in the NFL after week 1. This is based upon who won and who lost in week 1, but also we have 1 week to go on. So some of this is just based on how I believe things are going to shake out. There are teams that may have looked terrible in week 1 that I feel like are going to rebound. There may have been teams that looked great in week 1 that I feel like are going to take a step back. So, let's do this. It is called 32 to 1, and we are starting things with the bottom 3. The bottom 3. The bottom 3 teams in the NFL, numbers 30, 31, and 32. And I am going with the Houston Texans at number 32. I think Houston, CJ Stroud, I am worried about him within the next couple of years, but I think that they don't have enough weapons around him at all, and it's kind of being swept under the rug. They got handled pretty easily by Baltimore the other day. So I've got the Houston Texans coming in at number 32. Our next spot in the bottom 3 at number 31, going to go to the Arizona Cardinals, who did put up a good fight the other day. They put up a good fight against Washington. They've got our old buddy Josh Dobbs at quarterback. They're going to get Kyler Murray presumably back eventually, but I think that Arizona is going to, they seem like a team who is on the decline. I think they seem like a team who is just getting ready to blow it up and start over. So I've got Arizona at number 31. At number 30, I have got a team that I suspected would take a major step back this year. Judging by what happened to them Sunday night, they may be taking a bigger step back than I thought. It's the New York Giants. The Giants, I'm telling you, I'm not a believer in Daniel Jones at all. I'm not a believer. I think last year felt fluky to me. The run that they went on, I don't think they're going to be able to duplicate it. They got slaughtered Sunday night, and some may say it's harsh to have them this low on the list, but I've got the Giants in the bottom 3 at number 30. Coming up next, we're going into the 20s here, and let's go to the right side of the screen. We're at 29. I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers, they've got Mike Tomlin, so just because of that alone, they are going to find a way to win some games, okay, just because of how good he is. But they looked bad. They looked bad the other day. They're in a tough division. I think it might be a long year for the Steelers. I've got them at 29. Number 28, the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young quarterback there, coming in. People are excited, but the offensive line can't protect him. They have no weapons. They have nobody. It's kind of weird to put rookie quarterbacks in this position where they go to these teams that have absolutely nobody there to help them out and make plays. So it might be a long year for the Panthers. Number 27, the New England Patriots, who put up a good fight. They put up a good fight against the Eagles the other day, who are one of the best teams in the league. But overall, you look at that roster, I'm not a big believer in Mac Jones. I think it's going to be a long year for the Patriots, especially in that division. The Aaron Rodgers injury might make things a little better for them, but still Dolphins, Bills. I think it's a long year for the Patriots. Number 26, the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Vikings are a team, much like the Giants. I had them taking a step back this year, and I am going to stick with that. I think they're taking a step back. They got beat by a Tampa Bay Buccaneer team that I don't think is going to be any good at all. And speaking of the Bucs, I've got them at number 25. I think this is, a team that, when it's all said and done, I think will be toward the bottom half of the league, but the Bucs for right now, I'll put them at 25, just ahead of the Vikings because they beat the Vikings. They've kind of got that us against the world mentality. I just feel like there's not enough talent on that team to really make any noise. Number 24, the Denver Broncos, a team with Russell Wilson. People were wondering, can they come in, kind of rebound, get it going and build up what we thought they would be last year. I don't see it happening. Even with Sean Payton there, I think this Russell Wilson and Denver thing's just wacky. I don't think they have that much talent there. On defense, it seems like the Broncos always have a good defense that keeps them in games. But ultimately, this Russell Wilson thing is just still not working for me. I've got him at 24. Number 23, the Chicago Bears. The Bears, a team that came in much hyped. Justin Fields, much hyped. Everybody was so excited about the Bears. And then they went and laid an egg against Green Bay. I don't know how you can exactly send a message that says it's a new day in Chicago when you're still losing to the Packers, even though Aaron Rodgers ain't there anymore. I just think this Bears thing, people got ahead of themselves. I do not think that the Bears are going to live up to the expectations, nor do I think Justin Fields will. Number 22, the Indianapolis Colts. Our friends in Indianapolis put up a better fight against the Jags than I thought they would, and Anthony Richardson, against what I believe probably looked like the best rookie quarterback in week one. I just think at the end of the day, it's the same type thing as Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I don't think they have enough talent in Indianapolis, especially without Jonathan Taylor, to help Anthony Richardson. And I think, he's going to have to take better care of himself. I think the Colts are gritty. As bad as I hate to say that, I think the Colts are gritty, but they don't, really, this is a year, much like the Panthers and Texans, they got to see what they have in Anthony Richardson, and that's the most important thing for them going into the future. Number 21, I've got the Tennessee Titans. I can't put them any higher than this when I'm not sure what Ryan Tannehill is going to be able to do going forward. I look at this unbiased. I think seeing how Ryan Tannehill played Sunday, it's a major concern for the Titans going forward. If he can get it together, I think they would move up this list some. But until they do, I think our good friends in two-tone blue are going to have to stay at number 21. And now we get into the top 20 on the left side of the screen. Number 20, I've got the Cleveland Browns. I'm not a big believer in the Browns at all. I don't think the Browns are going to be able to continue what they did Sunday. I think what they did against the Bengals on Sunday felt fluky, but it was a big win for them at home. So I'm going to put them at 20, but I don't think they're even going to stay this high on the list. I think the Browns are going to drop down from here because I just don't. There's not much about that Browns team that makes me feel warm and fuzzy, but they got the big win over Cincinnati in week one. Number 19, the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks were a disappointing team in week one. Coming off of a playoff run last year, Geno Smith looked better than anybody would have given him credit for, and they went out and laid a total egg, and this was at home, right? Opening up against a favorable matchup against the Rams, a team who felt like they were kind of phoning it in, and Seahawks looked terrible. They looked absolutely terrible the other day. And so I would have had them up about 4 or 5 spots going into last week, and then they completely laid an egg. So the Seahawks at number 19. Number 18, I'm going to give it to the Rams, the team that beat them. Listen, the Rams felt like a team who were phoning it in. They're just kind of beginning to rebuild. We had heard rumors of a trade for Matt Stafford. Cooper Kupp's out. We don't know the health there. But don't forget, the Rams have Sean McVay, very good coach. They just won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, so don't go to sleep on the Rams just yet because they whooped up on the Seahawks in week one, and I know I didn't see that coming. Number 17, the New York Jets. The Jets, it is such a shame, man. I feel bad for their fans because the Jets, I think, are an easy top 10 team with Aaron Rodgers. But without him, I just don't see any hope for them going forward. It was a feel-good win the other night with the punt return walk-off, but I don't think the Jets are going to be able to continue that streak of wins with Zach Wilson. All due respect to him. He did not look good the other night. They won this game, but it was not because of Zach Wilson. He did not look good. Okay, and so I think down the line, without Aaron Rodgers, it's just not going to work, I don't think. But they have a great defense, and so that's something, and it's a shame because they are a great quarterback, or even a good quarterback away from having a top 10 team. Number 16, the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are a sleeper team to me because, they're not flashy, they're not exactly fun to watch, but Jimmy Garoppolo just wins games. He wins games. And the other day against Denver, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't fun to watch, but the Raiders win football games because Jimmy Garoppolo he's not flashy, he's not Patrick Mahomes, he's not Joe Burrow, he's not Josh Allen, but he wins. So you better keep an eye on the Raiders because they could upset some teams this year. Number 15, how about the Atlanta Falcons? Speaking of teams that are not fun to watch, speaking of teams that are not going to be entertaining, listen, they've got Algier, they've got Bijan Robinson, they're going to run the football. Desmond Ridder, so far, he threw for like 115 yards the other day. He's not flashy, he's not going to do anything that's going to wow anyone, and that's just what we've seen from them so far. But the Falcons are going to run the ball. They're going to rely on their defense. And I think they're going to win games in the process. Like I said, it's not going to be fun to watch. It's not going to be like the Chiefs. It's not going to be like the Dolphins. But it's going to be fun it's going to be efficient. It's not going to be fun, but it's going to be efficient. And the Falcons are going to win games doing it. Number 14, the Washington Commanders. Some people will say this is too high for the Commanders. But if you remember, I have the Commanders as a playoff team. I had them grabbing the 7th seed. I think the Commanders are going to make some noise here in this season. I don't think they're going to be like that upper echelon of the league, but I have them as a playoff team because this Sam Howell, people don't know much about him. I think Ron Rivera's a great coach, and they've got some talent there that kind of sneaks under the rug. You don't really think about, oh, Washington, so much talent they have there, but they have some gritty young guys on that team. I wouldn't be surprised to see them upset some of the really, really good teams in the league this year. Number 13, the surprise team of Week 1, the Green Bay Packers. Some people will say it's too high for the Packers, and I know. I'm not sold yet. They looked great in Week 1. Jordan Love looked great in Week 1. We'll see if it continues. But for right now, this is the Packers. The Packers seem like they are always right in the mix. They seem like they are always right in the middle of everything. And they always have great all-time quarterbacks. They had Favre, then they had Rodgers, and now Jordan Love looks good. We'll see if it continues. I'm like you. I need to see more. But so far, the Packers look like they may be better than we thought they were. And so I've got the Packers at 13. Number 12, our friends, the New Orleans Saints, the team that beat the Titans in Week 1. This feels a little high for them. I am worried that it may be a little high. But, I mean, the Saints, Derek Carr, he's one of those guys, you know what you have with him. But they're going to get Alvin Kamara back at some point. Michael Thomas was back making plays for them. Olave was making plays for them. Their offensive line did not look good, but I give some of that credit to the Titans' defensive line. Their defense is good. Their secondary is very good. Don't we know it? We saw it the other day. They picked off Ryan Tannehill 18 billion times. But I think the Saints could be a sleeper team because the NFC, I mean, who knows? There's a lot of unknowns in the NFC. The Saints could be a dangerous team, and I think it is a two-team race in that division between the Saints and the Falcons, and I think neither one of them are going to be particularly fun to watch, but they're going to win games. Number 11, the LA Chargers. The Chargers, the team the Titans played this week, the Chargers lost a shootout against the Dolphins. Their defense doesn't look good. Their secondary doesn't look good, so maybe that can help Ryan Tannehill kind of have a rebound game. Their secondary don't look good, but their offense is efficient. They've got one of the great young quarterbacks in the league in Justin Herbert, and they've got weapons all over the field. And so the Chargers are a team I wouldn't want to mess with, and I hate to say that because the Titans are getting ready to play them. God help us. Let's get into the top 10 and knock that out real quick. Number 10, some people ain't going to like this one. I got the Bengals at number 10. I know the Bengals looked horrible. I know the Bengals got killed. I know Joe Burrow looked horrible. This is a case of me just not believing it's going to continue. I don't think the Bengals are going to continue to look that bad. I don't think Burrow's going to continue to look that bad. I think the Bengals are going to be just fine. I think in a few weeks, that Week 1 performance is going to be a distant memory. And so I'm going to keep the Bengals in the top 10. I know they looked horrible. But I don't think, I think it was the exception and not the rule. I think the Bengals are going to be just fine. I've got them at 10. Coming in at number 9, it's another AFC team that was kind of disappointing in Week 1. It is the Buffalo Bills. And I'm a little more worried about the Bills than I am the Bengals because we know Josh Allen's great, but Josh Allen has a turnover problem. And it ain't nothing new. It's been a thing for a couple of years now. The dude turns the ball over, and the Bills continually go out every offseason and don't do anything to improve their run game. And so that's important come January when it's playoff time. You've got to be able to run the ball well. We see it year after year. And the Bills always get let down in the playoffs because they can't do it. I worry for the Bills because of Josh Allen's turnover problem and because of their lack of run game and because there's a Dolphins team that I'm about to talk about in a little bit in that division that looks very, very dangerous. Coming in at number 8, I'm going to give it to the Ravens. This feels like it may be a little high for the Ravens, but it just feels like a safe team to put there right now at that number 8 spot because the Ravens, Lamar Jackson didn't do anything great in Week 1, but overall, I still think he's got the most weapons that they've given him yet in Baltimore. I think Lamar Jackson, is a guy that he's going to get it together. He's going to start to get more involved in the run game. He's going to start throwing the ball better. It's just they've got a lot of new weapons there that I think they've got to get used to. Obviously, losing J.K. Dobbins is going to be a tough blow for them. But for right now, they handled Houston pretty easily the other day. So I'm going to put the Ravens at number 8. Just feels like a safe thing to do. Number 7, the Kansas City Chiefs, another team that looked disappointing, but I'm not worried about the Chiefs at all. They're getting Travis Kelce back. They're getting Chris Jones back. I would like to see them beat Jacksonville in week 2. I think the Chiefs are going to be just fine. It's kind of like the Bengals. I think it's just that week 1 weirdness. I think they're going to be just fine. I've got the Chiefs at 7 because of number 15. Number 6, I hate to do it, but I got to put the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 6. The Colts hung with them the other day, but the Jags got a division win on the road in week 1. And if I'm them watching Ryan Tannehill wet the bed the other day, you've already beaten the Colts. The Texans don't look like they're any good. If I'm the Jags, I'm feeling pretty good about my chances in the AFC South right now, and I hope they're wrong. But we'll see. I got the Jags at number 6. Calvin Ridley, it was week 1. It's hard to tell, but I think that connection with him and Trevor Lawrence could take off, and I hope I'm wrong. We're into the top 5. Number 5, I'm giving it to the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys whipped up on the Giants. You never know with the Cowboys. They look great one week, terrible the next. It's always drama around there in Dallas. But for right now, I'll put them in the top 5. You beat a team 40-0 on Sunday Night Football in week 1, a division opponent. That speaks volumes. I know the Giants, I don't think they're any good, but the Cowboys, they looked good the other night. I'm going to give that number 5 spot to the Cowboys, and I hate the Cowboys, but I got to be unbiased on this list. Coming in at number 4, I've got the Detroit Lions, and I'm scared of putting the Lions this high on the list. But the Lions have a ton of momentum that they carried over from last season. You start the season by winning a game on the road at Arrowhead in primetime against the defending Super Bowl champions. I think that's only going to help their case. The Lions are gritty. They've got weapons. And the Lions, I can't, it feels weird to have the Detroit Lions this high on any list like this. But I am a big believer in what the Lions have going on. At number 3, I'm going with the Miami Dolphins, man. I told you guys the Dolphins were a sleeper team because everybody was talking about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Everybody was talking about Josh Allen and the Bills in that division. If Tua stays healthy, this is a team you got to look out for. They've got so much speed. They've got a good defense. And the Dolphins, listen, it's going to come down to Tua's health. And I hate to do it because, sometimes you can't control stuff like that, but it's going to come down to Tua's health if they can stay a contender in this league. Number 2, we're going with the Philadelphia Eagles. They didn't look great in week 1, but you look at their roster, top to bottom, it's one of the most complete rosters in the league. They got weapons everywhere on offense. They've got a defense that has, just top-notch Pro Bowl caliber players all over the place. And they're one of the teams to beat in the NFC and probably in the NFL. I think they looked rusty against the Patriots. I think they're only going to get better. And then at number 1, I'm going to go with the safe pick. I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Looks like he's picking up right where he left off. They've got a great defense. It's weapons galore on their offense. And they looked great against the Steelers. They whooped up on the Steelers. And don't think it's lost on me. As I look at this top 5, all we heard about coming in was how stacked the AFC was, but 4 of these top 5 teams are NFC teams. But I have a feeling some of these AFC teams toward the bottom of the top 10 will start to make their way up. I'm going to try to do this list every week. It's complicated because you never know from one week to the next. I haven't been able to keep up with the comments here on YouTube, so I got to go back and read, see what you guys are saying there. But I'm going to try to do this list every week, and I know it'll get kind of complicated because, you're going to have some weeks where, the NFL's weird. Weird things happen all over the place. And Titan South, for those who can't see, I'm wearing a Taco Bell shirt. So Titan South is giving a shout out to Taco Bell. But yeah, I'm going to try to do this list every week, and it's going to be hard to do. Okay, let's look at week 2 games. Obviously, we've got a Thursday nighter. Normally, I would be doing this on Friday, and the Thursday night game would have already been played, but I'm having to do it on Thursday this week. So it's Eagles-Vikings, and you guys already know. I just think at home, Philadelphia, Minnesota, as you see, I have them toward the bottom of the list. So I'm going to go with the Eagles over the Vikings. I think that at home, that Eagles fan base is going to be rabid after coming up short in the Super Bowl. They want this to be the year. So, I think that I would expect that the Eagles would win this game. And if you're Minnesota, I think you get to a point where, after week one, it's a disappointing loss to Tampa Bay. I mean, Tampa Bay, in many people's minds, was going to be one of the worst teams in the league, and they beat you in week one. Okay, so Minnesota needs to rebound, but it's going to be hard to do in Philadelphia. Looking ahead to Sunday, I'm going to save the Titans game for last. But we got Raiders-Bills. Bills need to rebound. I mean, Josh Allen at home. You had a lot of turnovers last week. Now you're at home in the home opener against a Raiders team that is gritty. As I said, Jimmy G knows how to win these games, but I'm going to pick the Bills to rebound. I sense after that terrible game he had the other night, probably a monster game from Josh Allen, getting Stephon Diggs going. I got the Bills over the Raiders. I think the Raiders are good enough to beat some of these really good teams a couple times a year. I just don't think it's going to happen Sunday. Ravens-Bengals. The Bengals are another team that are really needing to rebound. It's going to be hard to do because they got a division opponent coming in. I just refuse to believe that the Bengals are going to look that bad 2 weeks in a row. I'm going with the Bengals over the Ravens in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, I feel like even more so than Josh Allen, is going to be a man possessed, looking to make up for that game that he had last week, which was all-time bad for him. So I got the Bengals over the Ravens. Chiefs, Jags. I never thought I would say it, but let's go Chiefs. I'm rooting for the Chiefs, man. I'm already in that AFC South battle. Jacksonville is clearly the team to beat. This game is in Jacksonville. Mahomes coming off of a disappointing loss. We know he's getting Chris Jones back. There's some speculation that Travis Kelce will be back for this game as well, and I hope so. I am rooting for the Chiefs all the way, and I am picking the Chiefs to beat the Jaguars in Jacksonville. But if the Jags win this game, I'm concerned about how good they may be. But I'm going with the Chiefs. I'm going with the Chiefs to beat the Jags. I think all of these teams, Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs, kind of those AFC heavyweights, I'm going to say they all get rebounds in week 2. Let's talk about Packers-Falcons. So, I mean, you know, do you think that Jordan Love is going to be able to keep doing what he was doing before? You know, a lot of people, Atlanta, it feels kind of like they're the Tennessee of the NFC. It's like nobody knows much about them. They don't have a flashy quarterback, and therefore nobody cares about them. And they're going to pick against them every week. I'm going to go with the sleeper pick. Most people are going to be excited about Jordan Love and the Packers. Man, I'm picking the Falcons to win this game. I think it's going to be low scoring. I'm talking like a 16-13 type thing. I'm going with Atlanta. They're a 1-point favorite at home. I'm going to go with the Falcons over the Packers. I'm hesitant, but I'm going to go with Falcons over Packers. Seahawks, Lions. I'm going to say the Lions continue doing what they're doing. I think Seattle, they look like a team that was totally lost in week 1. I don't know if they'll continue to look that bad. But Detroit, I mean, they've got so much momentum. They're rolling. They're feeling good about what they got going. This game's in Detroit. You know their fans will be going crazy after the run that they've had. So I'm going with the Lions over the Seahawks. How about an AFC South battle between the Colts and the Texans in Houston? Both of them 0-1. I will say the Colts don't have many weapons, but I feel like they have slightly more to offer than Houston. I think in the long run, C.J. Stroud will be better than Anthony Richardson, but on Sunday, I think Anthony Richardson will be. Anthony Richardson just looked like he looked a little more not like a rookie than C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud very much looked like a rookie quarterback on Sunday to me, whereas Anthony Richardson looked like a guy who was kind of ready to be there for right now. So I'm going Anthony Richardson and the Colts to win this game. Another low-scoring, boring affair, but I'll go with the Colts. Bears-Bucks. If the Bears lose this game, I'm a little worried about the hype train going on with Chicago. I'm going to go with Chicago. I'm going to say the Bears get their rebound win. I don't think the Bucks are as good as they even looked Sunday against the Vikings. I'm going to go Bears over Bucks. And it's in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, a 3.5-point favorite. I think Justin Fields will be able to do enough. DJ Moore, get guys like that involved. I got the Bears. Giants, Cardinals. Two bad teams, in my opinion. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. These are two of the teams I had in the bottom 3, but the game's in Arizona. As we know, Josh Dobbs once again getting the start for Arizona. He ain't gonna do nothing flashy, but I think the Giants are a team. I think the Giants are gonna have a bad year altogether. Some people don't. I believe the Giants are gonna be bad altogether. I got Cardinals in that game. 49ers Rams. The Rams were a surprise team for me in week one. They looked better than I thought they would, but the 49ers just look like they're clicking on all cylinders right now. So I'm going with 49ers over the Rams. 49ers are just going to be tough to beat. I don't think they're going to lose many games this year. Jets, Cowboys. Man, this would have been fun if they had Aaron Rodgers. I feel like we're going to say that a lot this year. I'm going with the Cowboys. Zach Wilson in Dallas. It's a shame, man. I feel so bad for the Jets because, like, they have so much talent on that team, but I don't believe Zach Wilson is the guy. And people talk about veteran quarterbacks that they could sign. You saw the list of veteran quarterbacks, I'm sure, that are available. There's rumors about Phillip Rivers coming out of retirement. Come on. Like, there's talk of Cam Newton. That might be a little interesting, but I don't see anybody that's going to be able to come in and take this team to another level. So I'm going with the Cowboys over the Jets. Commanders, Broncos. I'm going to go with the Commanders, man. I think I'm a big believer in the Commanders. You already know. I picked them to make the playoffs. I had them in the upper half of my 32-1. So I'm going with the Commanders over the Broncos. This Russell Wilson thing just still feels wacky to me. And so I'm not a big believer. I think it just feels like total disarray in Denver. So I'm going with the Commanders. Dolphins, Patriots on the Sunday Nighter. I think the Dolphins will win this one with ease. I think that the Patriots, they just don't have the talent for... They don't have the talent to keep up with the Dolphins. I think that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are going to have a field day. I think Tua's going to have a field day. And I think the Dolphins are going to whip the Patriots on Sunday night. The Monday Nighter, there's two Monday Nighters. Saints, Panthers. I got the Saints. I think Bryce Young's going to have trouble against that Saints defense with lack of weapons, lack of good offensive line play. I think Bryce Young's going to have trouble. Even though it's in Carolina, I think the Saints win this one. Browns, Steelers in Pittsburgh. Steelers looked bad week one. Browns got a big win. I'm going to go with the Steelers. I think Mike Tomlin's going to coach the Steelers to a rebound win. I don't think the Browns are as good as they let on in week one. I'm going with the Steelers. And now we close with the game. Titans, Chargers in Nashville, the home opener for the Titans. We've got people in the chat. Luke is coming in strong in the chat. He joined the stream late. He says it's time to move on from Ryan Tannehill. He says he would give Tannehill to the Jets for a 7th round pick. Luke is coming in strong today. Okay. For me, this Titans-Chargers game, if the Titans are going to win this game, it all boils down to number 17. After looking back at the film, I don't mind the play calling. I would have liked to have seen more Derrick Henry. I think we will, but I didn't mind the play calling. Defense, secondary, I worry a little bit because of the injuries already. Justin Herbert's great. They got weapons everywhere. Their secondary, the Chargers, is not the best. It's going to boil down to Tannehill. It's all on Tannehill. I know it's only week 2, but there is immense pressure on Ryan Tannehill to have a better game. Because any way you slice it, they drafted a quarterback last season. They drafted a quarterback this season. He's got 2 young guys breathing down his neck. And as Luke said, the loss to the Saints was 100% on Ryan Tannehill. He was the leading cause of defeat. He's got to get it together. I'm still shocked at how bad he was Sunday. He was horrible. He's got to get it together if they're going to beat the Chargers on Sunday. The Titans are going to have to score points. They're going to have to score some points. They're going to have to find the end zone. I mean, as somebody said in the chat, the Titans' first 6 games before their bye, it is their toughest stretch of the season. It is vital that they can get to that bye week at least at 500. If they could get to the bye and be 3-3, I'd be fine with that. I'm looking ahead at a Browns game that I think they can win. I'm looking ahead to a Colts game that I think they can win. The other 3 games are Chargers, Bengals, Ravens. If they could steal one of those and go into the bye 3-3, I would be fine with that. If they could somehow be 4-2, I would build a monument in my front yard that says 4-2. I know everybody's going to pick Chargers to win. But this is a Two-Tone Talk podcast, and we don't pick against the guys in two-tone blue. I'm going with the Deadgum Titans to win this game. I'm going with Ryan Tannehill to rebound and play better. Hit the open guys and not overthrow them or force it to somebody else. I'm going to say Derrick Henry gets the ball more and does something with it. I'm going to say the defensive line has a field day. Bothers Justin Herbert. I'm going to pick the Titans. God, please. Oh, God. I'm going to pick the Titans. I feel obligated to pick the Titans. Thank you, guys. Luke has a question before I conclude. Say somehow we do make the playoffs. Do you truly trust number 17 to win one game in the playoffs? Think on it, folks. Think on it. Remember the last time the Titans had a playoff game at home, number 1 seed? Oh, I can't even talk about it. I can't even talk about it. The Tennessee Titans host the LA Chargers on Sunday, and let's hope for a rebound win. I will say, the Titans, with these Vrabel teams, man, when their backs are against the wall is usually when they're at their best. Let's hope it remains that way. Thank you guys for joining me on the Two-Tone Talk podcast. I'll be back Monday after all the dust has settled from Sunday. I'll be back to talk about what all went on. And hopefully it's a dub for the Titans. But I'll be back Monday. Everybody have a great weekend. And I will see you on the other side of Sunday. Thank you, guys. It's the Two-Tone Talk podcast, staying way too high on the wins, way too low on the losses. Tighten up, everybody. Bye.
So many people try to get you to fit their mold. I think it's time for a change. This is what I say. Feel free to be whoever you wanna be. Feel free to dance, feel free to sing.